Hello, my friends. Welcome back to English Scale Podcast. I am Tom, and today I am very happy to practice English with you. In today's episode, we are going to talk about something very simple, very common, and very useful in everyday English. Our topic is talking about a slow day. Have you ever had a day when nothing special happened? Maybe there were very few customers at work. Maybe your office was quiet. Maybe your classes were easy and you had a lot of free time. Or perhaps you stayed at home because there was not much to do. These are called slow days. Everyone has them. Sometimes people think slow days are boring, but they can actually be peaceful and relaxing. Learning how to talk about a slow day is useful because native English speakers often ask questions like, "How was your day? Was work busy?" Or, "What did you do today?" If your day was quiet, you should know how to describe it naturally. Today we will learn useful vocabulary, common expressions, and simple examples that you can use in real conversations. By the end of this episode, you will be able to talk about slow days with confidence. Let's start with a very common sentence. You can simply say, "Today was a slow day." This means nothing very exciting happened. It does not mean the day was bad. It simply means there was not much activity. For example, if you work in a restaurant and only a few customers arrive, you can say, "Today was a slow day at work." If you work in an office and there are very few emails or meetings, you can also say, "It was a slow day today." Native speakers use this expression all the time because not every day is busy. Some days are full of activity, while others are calm and quiet. Many English learners think that slow always means something negative. Actually, it depends on the situation. Sometimes a slow day feels wonderful. Imagine you have worked very hard all week. You have attended many meetings, answered hundreds of emails, or served many customers. Then Friday arrives, and suddenly everything becomes quiet. You finally have time to organize your desk, finish small tasks, enjoy a cup of coffee, or simply breathe and relax. In this situation, a slow day feels like a gift. You may even say, "I'm glad today was slow. I needed a break." Of course, sometimes a slow day can feel a little boring. Imagine you are working in a small shop. You are ready to help customers, but nobody comes inside. You look at the clock every few minutes. Time seems to move very slowly. You organize the shelves, you clean the counter, you check your phone during your break. You have already finished all your work, but there are still several hours before you can go home. In this situation, you might say, "Today was really slow. The day felt very long." This is another natural expression. When nothing interesting happens, time often feels slower than usual. Let's learn another useful phrase. Native speakers often say, "It was pretty quiet today." Notice the word quiet. Quiet does not only describe places with little noise, it also describes situations where very little is happening. For example, a receptionist might say, "The office was pretty quiet today." A waiter might say, "The restaurant was quiet this afternoon." A teacher might say, "School was quiet because many students were absent." These are very common expressions that sound natural in everyday English. Now, imagine your friend asks, "How was work today?" Instead of saying only, "It was okay," you can give a better answer. You could say, "It was a slow day." "We didn't have many customers." Or, "It was pretty quiet today, so I finished all my work early." Or perhaps, "Nothing special happened. It was just a calm day." These answers sound much more interesting because they give a little more information. Good conversations usually become better when you add small details instead of giving one-word answers. There are many reasons why a day might be slow. Perhaps it is raining outside, so fewer people leave their homes. Maybe it is a public holiday, and many businesses are closed. Perhaps it is the middle of the week, when fewer customers visit stores. Or maybe people are simply busy with other things. Whatever the reason, slow days happen everywhere. Hospitals have slow days. Restaurants have slow days. Offices have slow days. Even airports sometimes have slower periods. Understanding these situations helps you describe your daily life more naturally in English. Now let's compare two different days. Imagine Monday morning. Your phone keeps ringing. Customers are waiting. Your manager gives you new tasks. You answer emails, attend meetings, and solve problems all day. That is a busy day. Now imagine Tuesday. You arrive at work expecting another busy day, but very few people call. There are almost no meetings. You finish your tasks before lunch. During the afternoon, you organize your files and clean your workspace. That is a slow day. Being able to compare busy days and slow days is an important part of everyday conversation because people often ask about work, school, or daily life. Sometimes a slow day gives us time to do things we usually ignore. We can organize our desk, update our calendar, clean our workspace, reply to old emails, or learn something new. Instead of feeling frustrated because there is less work, many people use slow days as an opportunity to prepare for busier days in the future. They know that business always changes. A quiet morning can become a busy afternoon. A slow week can be followed by a very busy one. That is why experienced workers often appreciate quiet moments instead of complaining about them. One useful expression you may hear is, "Business was slow today." This sentence is very common in restaurants, hotels, stores, and many other businesses. For example, a shop owner might say, "Business has been slow this week." This simply means fewer customers are buying products or services. Another common sentence is, "Things have been quiet lately." The word lately means recently. So, if someone says, "Things have been quiet lately," they mean that the last few days or weeks have not been very busy. These expressions are simple, useful, and very common in everyday English conversations. Now let's learn some useful vocabulary that people often use when talking about a slow day. The first word is calm. Calm means peaceful, relaxed, and without much activity. For example, you can say, "Today was calm at the office," or "It was a calm afternoon." Notice that calm usually has a positive feeling. It suggests that the day was peaceful rather than boring. Another useful word is quiet. We learned this word earlier, but let's use it in different situations. You might say, "The coffee shop was very quiet this morning," or "Our neighborhood is usually quiet on Sundays." The word quiet can describe both places and situations where there is little activity. Another excellent word is peaceful. If you spent the day reading a book, taking a walk, or relaxing at home, you could say, "It was a peaceful day." This expression sounds natural and positive. Now let's imagine a conversation between two coworkers. One asks, "How was your shift today?" The other replies, "It was pretty slow. We only had a few customers, so I cleaned the shelves and organized the storage room." This sounds very natural because people often use slow days to finish small jobs that they usually do not have time for. Another coworker might answer, "It was quiet this morning, but things got busier in the afternoon." Notice that days often change. A slow morning does not always mean the whole day will stay slow. Business can change very quickly. Slow days are also common at school. Imagine a student saying, "Today was a slow day at school. We only had 2 classes, and one teacher was absent." Another student might say, "We finished our homework early, so the rest of the afternoon was very relaxed." Teachers also experience slow days. A teacher might say, "The students finished their assignments quickly, so we had time for a class discussion." These examples show that slow days happen everywhere, not only at work. What about staying at home? Sometimes you wake up with no important plans. You make breakfast, drink a cup of coffee or tea, watch a movie, read a few chapters of a book, clean your room, and perhaps take a short nap. In the evening, someone asks, "What did you do today?" You can honestly answer, "Not much." It was a slow day. I stayed home and relaxed. Native speakers often use the phrase not much when nothing very exciting happened. It is a short, simple, and natural answer. Another common expression is, I took it easy today. This means you did not work too hard or put yourself under much pressure. For example, after a busy week, you might say, I took it easy today. I watched some TV, went for a walk, and spent time with my family. This expression is very common in everyday English. It suggests that you intentionally chose to relax and recover. Everyone needs days like this from time to time. Some people think slow days are a waste of time, but that is not always true. In fact, slow days can be very productive. Imagine you finally have time to organize your computer files, reply to old emails, plan next week's schedule, or learn a new skill. These tasks are important, but they are often postponed when life becomes busy. During a slow day, you finally have the opportunity to complete them. At the end of the day, you may feel satisfied because you used your time wisely, even though the day was quiet. Let's compare two different ways of thinking. One person says, today was slow, I'm so bored. Another person says, today was slow, so I finally finished everything on my to-do list. Both people experienced the same kind of day, but they looked at it differently. The second person used the quiet time as an opportunity instead of seeing it as a problem. This positive attitude can make everyday life much more enjoyable. Weather can also create slow days. Imagine it is raining heavily. Fewer people visit parks, restaurants, and shopping centers. A shop owner might say, business was slow because of the rain. During very hot summers or cold winters, people sometimes stay indoors, making many businesses quieter than usual. Public holidays can have the same effect. Some offices close, schools are empty, and many people spend time with their families instead of shopping or working. Understanding these situations helps you explain why a day was slow, instead of simply saying that nothing happened. Another useful expression is, there wasn't much going on. This means there were very few interesting events or activities. For example, you could say, the office was quiet. There wasn't much going on today. Or, I stayed home because there wasn't much going on in town. Native speakers use this expression very often when describing calm or uneventful days. It sounds much more natural than simply repeating, it was slow several times. Sometimes, a slow day can actually improve your mood. Imagine working under pressure for several weeks without a break. Every day is full of deadlines, meetings, phone calls, and responsibilities. Then suddenly you have one peaceful day where everything slows down. You have time to think clearly, organize your ideas, and catch your breath. By the end of the day, you feel refreshed instead of exhausted. Many people do not realize how valuable these quiet days are until they become very busy again. Slow days remind us that life does not always have to move at full speed. Sometimes the best thing we can do is slow down, enjoy the moment, and appreciate the simple parts of everyday life. Before we finish today's episode, let's learn a few more natural expressions that native English speakers use when talking about slow days. One useful phrase is, it was one of those days. This expression means nothing unusual happened. For example, after work you might tell a friend, it was one of those days. Nothing exciting happened, but everything went smoothly. Another common phrase is, I had some downtime. Downtime means free time when you are not busy working. You could say, work was slow today, so I had some downtime to organize my desk. This expression is especially common in workplaces. Instead of saying you had nothing to do, you can say you had some downtime. It sounds much more natural and positive. Let's imagine another conversation. Your friend asks, how was your day? You answer, honestly, it was pretty quiet. I finished all my work before lunch, so I spent the afternoon organizing my files. Your friend replies, That sounds nice. My day was the complete opposite. I was busy from morning until evening. This is how many everyday conversations work. People compare their days. One person had a busy day, while another had a slow one. Both experiences are completely normal. Sometimes, slow days teach us something important. Modern life is often very busy. We rush from one place to another. We answer messages, attend meetings, study for exams, and try to finish many tasks every day. After living like this for weeks, a slow day can feel unusual. At first, we may even feel uncomfortable because we are not used to having free time. We may think, I should be doing something, but after a while, we begin to relax. We realize that it is okay to slow down sometimes. Rest is not laziness. Rest helps us recover, so we have more energy for busy days. Many successful people actually plan slow days on purpose. They understand that working hard every single day without a break can lead to stress and exhaustion. Instead of waiting until they become completely tired, they schedule time to rest. They may read a book, spend time with family, take a walk, or simply enjoy a quiet afternoon. These peaceful moments help them think more clearly and return to work with fresh energy. In other words, a slow day is not always an unproductive day. Sometimes it is exactly what we need to become more productive later. Now, let's practice describing different slow days. Imagine you work in a bookstore. You might say, "Today was very slow. We only had a few customers, so I organized the shelves and recommended books to the people who visited." Imagine you work in an office. You could say, "There weren't many meetings today, so I finally finished some paperwork." If you are a student, you might say, "School was pretty quiet today because several teachers were absent." If you stayed home, you could simply say, "I had a slow day at home. I watched a movie, cooked lunch, cleaned the kitchen, and relaxed." All of these answers sound natural because they describe what actually happened instead of simply saying, "It was fine." Another useful habit is learning to ask other people about their day. You can ask, "Was it busy today? Did you have many customers? How was work? How was school?" Or, "Did anything interesting happen?" These questions help start conversations. If the other person says it was a slow day, you can continue by asking, "What did you do during the quiet time?" Or, "Did you enjoy having a slower day?" Good conversations often begin with simple questions like these. Sometimes a slow day can become a memorable day for unexpected reasons. Imagine you have almost no customers all morning. Then an old friend suddenly walks into your store after many years. You spend 20 minutes talking together. Or perhaps you finally have time to help a coworker learn something new because work is quiet. Maybe you discover a new hobby because you have extra free time. Slow days create space for small moments that busy days often hide. Life is not only about exciting events. Many happy memories begin during ordinary, peaceful days. It is also important to remember that everyone experiences slow days differently. Some people enjoy the peace and quiet. They feel relaxed and refreshed. Other people prefer being busy because time passes more quickly when they have many things to do. Neither way is wrong. We all have different personalities. The important thing is learning how to use every kind of day wisely. On busy days, we do our best to complete our responsibilities. On slow days, we organize, learn, rest, and prepare for what comes next. Before we finish today's episode, let's review the most useful expressions we learned today. You can say, "Today was a slow day." You can also say, "It was pretty quiet today." If you had free time, you can say, "I had some downtime." If nothing interesting happened, you can say, "There wasn't much going on." If you decided to relax, you can say, "I took it easy today." And if the day was calm and ordinary, you can simply say, It was one of those days. These expressions are simple, natural, and very common in everyday English conversations. So the next time someone asks, "How was your day?" don't worry if nothing exciting happened. A slow day is still a day worth talking about. You can describe it using the expressions we practiced today. Every conversation is an opportunity to improve your English, whether your day was busy, slow, exciting, or completely ordinary. Thank you very much for listening to English Scale Podcast. I am Tom, and I am very happy you practiced English with me today. Keep listening, keep speaking, and keep improving one day at a time. Remember, even slow days can help you grow, learn, and appreciate the simple moments in life. I will see you in the next episode.